Hey everyone, this is Lucretia Cannell, your sexual health testing counselor with She Looks Like Me. We have created a curriculum for you guys. So, welcome to HIV 101, where we'll give you information, or I'll give you information on stigma, prevention, PrEP, education, sexual education, transmission, and more in depth about HIV and AIDS to give you a difference. So hopefully you coming into this HIV curriculum and this education and HIV 101, you won't leave the same way. So you'll have more knowledge, you'll be more empowered to help others understand this disease and the stigma that comes with it. So let's get right into it. What is HIV? HIV is the human immune deficiency virus is a blood-borne retrovirus that damages the immune system and may eventually lead to AIDS. A virus that attacks cells. I'm going to break it down Barney style. It's a virus that attacks your cells that help you fight off infection. So your cells that helps you fight off colds, pneumonia, bacterial viruses, infections like thrush. This affects that. Okay, this virus affects you fighting off those types of things and even greater diseases. AIDS is a diagnosis of acquired immune deficiency syndrome. It's AIDS. The diagnosis includes a specific, Lord have mercy, specific measures of damage to the immune system measured by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC. That includes particular diseases that occur as a result of this damage of your immune system. So let's say the immune system has gotten too weak to fight off any forms of infection. This can happen quickly without someone knowing they have been infected. So you might we recently saw something on the Shade Room, and they described a young lady who was like 86 pounds. She was near death, and she had HIV, and it had progressed to AIDS, and she had it for at least 8 or 9 years. So it's possible that people are walking around that are HIV positive, and they may progress to AIDS because they don't have a knowledge or they don't get tested. Okay. So when there is no treatment with the HIV diagnosis or taking medication, when given a positive diagnosis is extremely is important. So if you get a positive diagnosis, it's important that you seek medical attention immediately and go over with a physician to get on the right regimens to get you in the right form of treatment for your particular immune system, your type, your body. Okay, next slide, please. We're just waiting on the next slide. Okay, so the next slide says, what are CD4 and T cells and viral load? Why is it important? So a lot of people don't understand the virus. They don't understand what their CD4 is. They don't know what T cells are. So there are two standard types of blood tests. Okay, so they'll give you different blood tests to get a diagnosis. And these are the two types of standard types of blood tests when it comes to tracking the progression of HIV. So the first one is the CD4, the T cell count. It indicates how damaged the immune system is by estimating how many CD4 cells have been destroyed, how many of your T cells have been destroyed by the HIV virus, okay? And how vulnerable the body is to any type of infection. So, we'll later get down and it'll tell you how much well, at the bottom it says the normal healthy CD4 T cell count ranges from 1500 to 500 to 1500 CD4 cells per cubic millimeter of blood. So I could have, let's say, 1100 C cells, and somebody else could be 500. Depends on the person and the immune system. That's normal range. Those are normal healthy people. So there's no cause for concern. Okay. So number two says the viral load test. It measures the amount of actual HIV in each drop of blood a person has in their body. So this is the test. So you have the test that does your T cells. Okay. Then you have the test that does the viral load. So that measures how many uh amounts of HIV inside one drop of blood. Remember, when you hear viral load, it's the amount of HIV in a positive individual's body, the number of copies of HIV. So when HIV enters the body, it attaches itself. It has to have a host. So while it has a host, it begins to make copies of itself. Okay. It's important to know how strong the immune system is. It allows a person and their doctor to determine the best treatment regimen and monitoring their health carefully. It also determines what stage of HIV a positive a person is in. So there are 4 stages, and we'll get to that later. People living with HIV are advised to see their doctors regularly, even if they do not have symptoms or do not feel or look sick. Listen, people walk around every day HIV positive. You have food service workers, physicians, nurses, your banker, your tellers, um, the person that does your nails. You just never know who has HIV. HIV does not have a look, okay? Sometimes people do not feel as though they're sick when they are HIV positive. That is very dangerous when you don't get tested. That's why we always push get tested, get tested, get tested, because even though somebody's HIV positive, they may not look sick, they may not feel sick, and they could still, well, they most likely will continue to spread the virus to their partner, or and then those people spread the virus to other partners if something happens of a breakup, or they're not even in a monogamous relationship, they're in an open relationship, or they just doing whatever they want to do, and but without having treatment in their HIV positive, it will continue to spread. So remember, there's 2 types of tests that um will determine your HIV status, how the HIV has progressed in the body, and they'll do a CD4 count, which is CD4 means T cells, and then the viral load test. The viral load is how many HIV copies have been made in 1 drop of blood of HIV positive person. Next slide, please. Okay, so now continually, um, what I was telling you in the last slide, that there are 4 types of there's different stages of HIV, and there's 4 stages of HIV. HIV stage 1 is acute infection. Okay, people have a large amount of HIV in their bodies. They are very contagious. This is the stage where people have a large amount of HIV in their bodies, and they are extremely contagious. They may have flu-like symptoms after initial exposure, and that's around 4 to 6 weeks. That's a initial exposure when you can go to seek medical treatment, or you may notice something going on in your body, maybe like they said, a flu-like symptom. And some people ignore it. They'll say, "Oh, I had a cold. I was sick, and I was sick and I got better, but that may not necessarily have been a cold or just the flu. It could have been a HIV, initial acute HIV infection. For people, we're telling you, you have to constantly get tested. If you are a person who is sexually active and you are having condomless sex, then you need to be getting tested on a regular basis. That's 6 months, once a year, or 3 to 6 months. And I recommend, if you're not in a monogamous relationship, if you're not married, I recommend 3 to 6 months. I'm married and I still get tested every year. Okay. And I trust my husband, but you just never know. So you should always concern yourself concerning your own sexual and sexual health. Okay. Like I was telling you, this is the initial exposure. You'll people kind of notice things around 4 to 6 weeks. This is the body's natural response to the infection. Some may not feel sick at all. People can spread HIV heavy in this stage. Okay. HIV stage 2 is the chronic HIV infection. Although the HIV is active, the levels of reproduction are very low, at very low levels. Remember, we said they have the test for the viral load. Well, it's making copies, but it's not making copies as rapid as it was when it first got into that new host. Okay, people are asymptomatic. They are showing no signs. They don't have any symptoms no longer. The acute was they had like flu-like symptoms, may have gotten a rash or something, didn't have, they're not having any symptoms. They're asymptomatic. This stage can last a year or decades. Remember the young lady I talked about when we first initially started the live? She had it for 8, 9 years, and she had no idea until it got to it her HIV turned to AIDS. Okay. Now, this stage can last years or decades, even without testing and proper treatment, medicine, depending on the person's natural immune system. I keep telling y'all, we talked about our CD4 count. The normal range is from 500 to 1500. No, all of us are not the same. Your immune system may not be as strong as my immune system. My immune system may not be as strong as your immune system. So some people can go a long time without it making so many copies that they're down to 40 CD4 cells and T cells, and they about to get out of here because they've had their AIDS. Well, HIV has turned from HIV to AIDS. Okay. And we'll continue on with that. Um, where was I? People can spread HIV in this stage. In this stage, if on medication, they most likely will not progress to the next stage. So, like I said, testing is imperative. If you get diagnosed at a HIV stage 2, the doctor, an infectious disease doctor, can find what regimen, working with your primary care doctor, to find out what regimen is good for your body, your immune system, to so it will not progress. Now they have all new technology, and we're gonna get to all that new good technology that, progression is kind of, in this day and age, kind of obsolete. People are living very, very long lives. They're outliving people with high blood pressure, diabetes, and cancer. Okay. Now let's talk about HIV stage 3. Symptomatic. In this stage, over time, HIV has caused the immune system to become weakened, and symptoms of the disease begin to show up. So some of those symptoms could be weight loss, severe diarrhea, thrash in the mouth, possibly unusual symptoms like you getting rashes different places. You may get, like it said, thrash, or a constant cough that you cannot get rid of. This is something, if you pay attention to your body, like most women do. Most women pay attention to their body. I can't speak for men because I'm not a man. Um, but I do know that we pay attention to our bodies, and we saying something is just not right. Okay. Something is just not right. So you start to acquire symptoms and getting infections that usually, in a normal 500 to 1500 T cell count, that's nothing. It works. The immune system is working. It's strong. You're not getting thrash. You're just not coughing nonstop. You don't have diarrhea. You're not losing weight. You know, you're not just getting these strange rashes. Our immune system is healthy and it's working. So in this stage, that's obsolete. Things are happening to you that should not be happening if you had a healthy immune system. Okay. So it's concern for someone who is unusually healthy. So this is a great concern. Okay. HIV stage 4, progression from HIV to AIDS, which is acquired immune deficiency syndrome. There's is a specified test for AIDS. A physician will look at the individual CD4 count. Remember, CD4 means the T cells count, to determine the stage. This is the most severe stage of HIV infection. The CD4 count is usually around 200 and below. My example was 40. Okay. um 40 is extremely low. This person most likely is in the hospital. They are probably fighting some type of form of cancer that just came out of nowhere. They're probably having on dialysis. They probably are having extreme diarrhea. They cannot hold their bowels. They probably have pneumonia, succumb sarcomas carcinoma. It's a skin lesions. Okay. um this person is extremely sick and needs to they need to be in somebody's hospital. Okay. This person probably is extremely tiny, very, 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 very thin, and can't hold down food. At this stage, they could be sepsis. Okay. At this stage, without medication and medical treatment, a person doesn't survive for more than 3 years. This stage can be reversed with treatment, and both HIV and any disease met because of viral load. Illnesses at this stage are extremely severe, such as cancer and pneumonia, as I was saying before. Note, we no longer use certain terminology as full-blown AIDS. Y'all, that's taboo. It's ignorant. We're not using full-blown AIDS. It's HIV-1, HIV stage 2, 3, and 4. Okay. There's no full blown AIDS. People can come back from the full blown AIDS. They can have HIV stage 4, which is AIDS. Okay. And with medical treatment, and I mean, getting on a regimen as soon as possible, staying away from folks, being in the hospital, doing what people, the doctors tell them to do, they can come back. It sometimes it's not as it doesn't happen for everybody, but most likely with the new technology, research, and medication of today, this can happen. It's very possible. Next slide, please. What happens when HIV infects the body? When HIV enters the body through the transfer of bodily fluids from an infected individual, such as we're just gonna say it, pre-com. Okay, we're just gonna say it. Fluid, semen, vaginal fluids, blood, breast milk from mother to child. Once inside the body, HIV tries to make copies of itself. Remember, HIV needs a host. So this skin is a extremely thick barrier. People are so stigmatized and so taboo when people are HIV positive. But if somebody's not bleeding, child, you ain't gonna catch nothing from them. Besides a cold, if they're not washing their hands and you're not washing yours either. Um, it's not like the flu. It's not like COVID. It's not like a common cold. It's not like a bacterial virus. Um, it's it's a- such as uh, pre-com fluid, semen, vaginal fluids, blood, and breast milk. Okay. Once on the inside of the body, HIV tries to make the copies itself. This is called a replication. The virus cannot do it on its own. Remember, it needs a host. It gets help on off of a living cell. HIV infects the CD4 cells, which is your T cells. Remember that, you guys. This is a particular type of immune system T cells. HIV takes over the particular cell and uses it to reproduce thousands of copies of HIV, which is itself. This is called the HIV life cycle. During the HIV life cycle, the levels of the virus in the blood is extremely high. This is again HIV stage 1. The person who has been exposed and infected may have about 2 weeks of the flu-like symptoms, such as fever, sore throat, rash, night sweats, fatigue, chills, swollen lymph nodes, mouth ulcers, muscle aches, and possibly a few other symptoms. Approximately 50 to 90% of individuals with early HIV infections have these symptoms. So pay attention to your health and your body, especially if you're sexually active. Y'all don't just be out here having unprotected sex. Tell me you got a cold or you done got the flu. And come on, we probably catch the flu once or twice a year, but you got to pay attention to your body and you most definitely have to get tested if you're sexually active. Next slide, please. All right, we're gonna get down to the nitty gritty. We're gonna tell you how is HIV transmitted. Okay, HIV is transmitted through sexual intercourse. This includes unprotected vaginal, anal, or oral intercourse, sex. Okay, a lot of people feel like they're not having sex if they having oral sex. Honey, that's sex too. Primarily vaginal and anal sex, okay? With the person of a different gender or the same gender, transmission from oral sex contact is less common. Now, yes, it's less common. However, it is still possible to contract HIV. It is the lowest risk, but it's still possible to contract it. Note, if sexually active, always use a oil-based latex condom. Now, I'm a sexual health testing counselor. I got to tell you, I have to be transparent. I have to decrease stigma. I have to talk. give you a little rawness so you can have an understanding that if you are sexual active, use an oil-based condom. I don't care if it's anal. I don't care if it's vaginal sex. I don't care what kind of sex it is. I always use a condom. Okay. How is HIV transmitted? Next slide, step 2. HIV, positive mother to child during childbirth of via breastfeeding. So it's so much stigma around HIV, but it's a lot of people. They say, "Oh, that's so nasty. They nasty. That's how they caught that HIV. They out here being promiscuous." Well, listen, sweetie, listen, honey, listen, child, listen, man, homeboy, girl, sit down, because everybody is not promiscuous. They say that it takes two people being sexual active with two people, and you can come in contact with HIV. Other people were just born with HIV. They got it from their parent. They got it from their mother. Their mother may have not known that they were HIV positive, and they said the breast is the best, and they gave the breast. They started breastfeeding their babies. Or they did initially. They did not have HIV. The mother did not have HIV, and they was with a partner that was not monogamous, and they thought that the partner was monogamous. And then they end up contracting HIV, and they were still breastfeeding their baby. Okay, and then the baby was breastfeeding, and the babies got HIV from their mother. Okay, HIV positive mothers to child during childbirth or via just breastfeeding. A lot of people, a lot of men think that women that have kids cannot be HIV positive. Yes, they can. Those kids are born with new research technology. Um, it's not the disease of yesterday. Okay, it's not the disease of 20 years ago. It's not the disease of 30 years ago. I was born in 85. It's not the disease of 37 years ago, where um if you were HIV positive and you were pregnant, the baby was just going to be HIV positive. No, that's not true. This is for people who do not know that they're HIV positive. They're not seeking prenatal care. Go in and they have their babies. Say they have home birth. They didn't go to a doctor. Or let's just say they are drug users. They didn't go to a doctor, and the baby didn't get on antiviral drugs regimen for them, not ADT, for them not to be negative. Okay, it's important even as a teen mother to seek health care. Again, this is for also for teens. Share this. Not only like it, share it with a young person, because young people hide that they're pregnant instead of telling their parents and talking to their parents, and then seeking medical prenatal care for their babies, so that they can get the proper care for the baby in their bodies, and also get HIV testing. It's important even for teens and mothers to seek healthcare early on in pregnancy for testing and or treatment to decrease exposure and infection to an unborn baby. In the United States, as of now, breastfeeding while HIV positive is not recommended by the CDC, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention guidelines. So here in the United States, if you're HIV positive, they do not recommend that you breastfeed your baby. Next slide, please. Okay, HIV is how it's transmitted. Sharing needles, syringes, and other equipment. Okay, such as filters or cottons, mixing containers, or cooker, spoon, drug solution. So I'm gonna get to nitty gritty. You got the spoon. You have the cotton mixture. This is for crack. I'm sorry, not crack, heroin. Okay, um, I think meth as well. Um, when you mix it up on a spoon, you don't take the same syringe. Listen, I have to speak to everyone. People that are drug users, I would love for you not to do it, but if you do, don't share needles. Don't share your syringes. Don't share your spoons, your cotton, because those you activate one to the next. Sharing, you put one needle from you to the next person, you just adding whatever bodily fluids they have on them, you putting them inside of you as well. Use whatever you're using to prepare your drugs for your own personal injection. Do not share. This is high away for a high transmission of HIV. Okay, HIV can be transmitted while sharing these items. It also allows parties involved blood body fluids to transfer to the other. It's important not to use drugs for your it is important not to use drugs for your own safety outside of addiction. Outside of addiction, okay? I do know that addiction is something very serious, but it's important that if you are performing these activities, that you do not share syringes and other equipment, and especially the needles, okay? Next slide, please. HIV, and how is it transmitted? Accidental or deliberate contact with an infected bodily fluids. So you say accidental. Well, people are nurses, they're physicians, they're techs, they're CNAs, they are people, respiratory therapists. These are people who deal with other people's bodily fluid, okay? These are people that are in the workforce, in the medical workforce. So they can be accidentally infected with HIV. It does not have to be deliberate. Now, you do have people who have deliberate contact with HIV. Somebody can deliberately know, have knowledge, have received a positive HIV diagnosis, and do not tell you, did not tell you, and they can infect you with HIV, and that is deliberate contact with their infected bodily fluids. This includes healthcare workers becoming infected after being stuck accidentally with a needle containing HIV infected blood, or when infected blood comes into contact with the worker's open wounds, such as your eyes. A lot of people, people have babies and blood is coming everywhere, and your eyes are open and you going to catch the baby, or you holding somebody's leg, boom, it gets into your eyes. It can get into your cut on your hand. Unfortunately, in the US, it is still possible to become affected through exposure to HIV infected blood by way of blood transfusion. Some people still take their little happy butts down there with a HIV positive diagnosis, and they still are giving blood. They're still giving plasma. It's possible still through transfusion. Those that they have gotten better with querying and um testing the blood, testing those people before they go back. It's gotten better, but it's still possible, okay? Because it could be somebody who just 2 weeks ago found out, or 2 weeks ago got contracted, and they could be in stage 1 HIV, where it's duplicating really fast in their bodies, and it's replicating really fast in their bodies, and they have no knowledge. They haven't gotten the cold, they haven't got any symptoms. They just went on up there to get blood and plasma 2 weeks ago. But guess what? 4 weeks ago, they don't even know. They're in between the 4 to 6 week window where they can get an HIV test and it will come back positive. And so they were able to give blood, they were able to give plasma, okay? Blood products such as plasma or organ transplants. However, these risks are extremely low due to rigorous testing of blood supply and donated organs. Okay. So, like I said, it is they do rigorous tests. All right, next slide. Thank you. Ways HIV is not transmitted. Okay, well, let's get down to stigma, because I tell you, a lot of people are extremely ignorant when it comes to people who are HIV positive. Folks getting their nails done every day, don't even know their nails take HIV positive. Folks is getting food at McDonald's, they getting food at Crystals, they going down there to the Ruby Tuesdays. Well, I don't know about Ruby Tuesdays. I ain't seen no one of them. But let's say Jack's, let's say they going to Juicy Crabs. They don't know. Their waitress could be HIV positive, and the stigma is real, but you just don't know because it does not have a look. And some people are taking care of themselves. They're not trying to give you no HIV. Now listen to this. Ways HIV is not transmitted. Noted, HIV cannot survive long outside of the human body. I always tell you that they need like on surfaces. So don't be talking about, girl, I said, don't let them trick you. Tell me he said on the toilet and gave you a STD or HIV. And it cannot reproduce outside of a human host. I told you, it needs a host, baby. It needs a host to survive, and it does not last long on surfaces. Okay, remember, it needs help to duplicate itself. So let's push back the stigma and let's talk. Can't get HIV through a mosquito bite, ticks, or other insect bites. Thank God for that. Okay, we can't, because in the summertime the mosquitoes is eating us all up. Okay, He going from me to you to him, especially if you got that O positive blood. All right. Through saliva, tears, and sweating. Girl, if somebody's sweating, they give you a hug and they HIV positive, you're not gonna get no HIV. If they're kissing you, you're not gonna get no HIV. Okay. Tears, them crying. Folks with HIV, you know how we cry at church? It be so many folks in church with HIV, and you don't know, I don't know. You don't know. And they be crying. They cry, okay? They cry on your shoulder, my shoulder, his shoulder, her shoulder. People's crying in church. You're not gonna get HIV. Chill out, okay? By hugging, shaking hands, high fiving, holding hands, sharing toilets, sharing dishes. Girl, he came over here, he got HIV. That's ignorant. You're not gonna get HIV. And then bleaching your water anyway. You're not gonna get HIV. You're not gonna get HIV for using somebody's utensils. If they wash their clothes in your clothes, you're not going to get HIV. Them using the dryers. People use public dryers all the time. You ain't got no HIV. Okay. Use public at the laundromat, public washers and dryers. You're not getting HIV. Don't be ignorant. Kissing will not give you HIV. Y'all got to stop. Y'all got to stop treating people like they're not people, okay? The stigma, okay? Through other sexual activities that don't involve the exchange of bodily fluids. Now, I gave you where the bodily fluids are. Anal secretion, vaginal secretions, semen, pre-semen, which is pre-cum. Those are the secretions I'm referring to. Blood. That is how you contract HIV, through those fluids, okay? So some of y'all need to learn how to explore other sexual, ways to do things. It doesn't Our sexual activity does not have to be exchange of the body fluid. You can't get it if you touching. You can't get it if you're, I'm gonna say it, masturbating. Now, this is that's between you and God, okay? Doing to each other, not necessarily yourself, but to each other, without exchanging body fluids. I have to be raw. I'm the sexual health testing counselor. I have to be raw. I have to be real. I have to talk about things that people sometimes do not want to talk about. Okay. Through breathing the same air. Girl, don't let her in here. She got this stuff. Ignorant. Ignorant. It's ignorant. Her breathing your air, he breathing your air. Y'all breathing the same air in the same room. You're not gonna get HIV. Go on over there, sit over there, and get that person a hug. They may need it. Okay. Being in the same room or just being polite to somebody is not going to give you HIV, okay? You don't know what goes on in this life, and you don't know how your journey will end. Kindness, being polite and kind, that's easy, okay? Having food prepared will not transmit HIV. Remember, y'all don't know who has HIV. So don't be ignorant. Don't push stigma. These people have enough problems of their own. And stigma just makes it even worse. Okay. Next slide, please. How can teens prevent HIV? Okay. How can we all prevent HIV? Okay. Abstain from sexual intercourse. This is number one. Okay. Yeah, listen, if you ain't married and if you're not in a monogamous relationship, the best way not to contract HIV is to abstain from sexual intercourse. That means anal, vaginal, and oral. This is the most effective way to prevent HIV exposure. So when you see me and I say, hey, you want to test? Girl, come on, get your test so you can have your paper. Come on, get your test, sir, that you can have your paper to say HIV negative, because that's what you've been doing, abstaining from sex. Okay. Abstain from alcohol and drug use. If you are using alcohol or other drugs, enter in a treatment program or AT at a minimal reduce the in at minimal reduce the frequency of one's use. Sometimes you do have to go into a treatment program to get hold of addiction, because I'm telling you to abstain from alcohol and drugs use, because it alters your personality, it alters your thinking process, it alters your thought process, it alters what you will and will not do, it opens you up to risky behavior. Okay. Never experiment with injecting steroids or drugs, especially young folks. Y'all share this and let your children share it with your children so they can see, because they think because they're young that they cannot be exposed to HIV. Y'all don't share needles, steroids, or drugs and stuff like that. Don't do it. Just don't do it. When I was young, it say no to drugs. Say no. We need to bring that back. That campaign back. Say no to drugs. Okay. Hang out with friends and people who also abstain from alcohol. If you are sexually active, because I can't judge. I can't tell anybody what to do. I can only counsel and give them my concern and my opinion. And however, if you are sexually active, use condoms, which are barriers. Every time I keep saying it over and over again, use condoms, which are barriers that separate the two things or prevent access. You got the male girl, listen, do not let him trick. If you need help, I can get you some female condoms, okay? Don't let nobody I don't like how the condom feel. I'll get you some. He won't even know. You can go and put it in there, and he won't even know that it's there. And when he say, I don't like to use condoms, you say, well, that's fine. I got mine. I got my female condom right here. And he can't slip it off, okay? Not without you knowing, okay? Um, for me, I like to, before I give out these things, I like to test them out so I can say, this is how it is, this is what this is how you do this is how you do this. So they can't take them off. You can't take off a female condom. A man can slip off a barrier such as a male condom, but he can't slip off a female condom. He can't take it off without you knowing. And if you'll allow that, then you allowed it. Okay, get on PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis. HIV medication. Now we'll get into that later on in the slides. If you are sexually active, get tested on a regular basis. I would say if you're really sexually active, you're not a monogamous person, even if you are, every 3 months, every 3 to 6 months, and at least you need to be going once a year. Married folks too, go once a year. Go once a year, especially if you're a healthcare worker. Go with your sexual partner to get tested. If she refused, this is a red flag. You need to go and walk away. They nasty. They don't care about you. They don't care about themselves. Run, okay? That is a red flag not to be ignored. Never take someone's word that they are negative for HIV. Always make them verify their test with you, okay? Make them verify, okay? Y'all trust people with your life. And yes, you can live with HIV, but you will alter things based on your trust in someone else concerning your life. And that is too important to have to alter. Okay. Talk about HIV in a normal conversation as a family. Baby, when it's me, I say, I'm all on live. They talking about what they got something coming up in February that they doing speed date. And I got on live. I said, y'all want me to come out there with my HIV test and condoms? And they was looking all nervous and scared. I'm like, child, see, y'all, I'm scared of them. I'm scared of them. Okay. Learn to say no and talk about sexual health before engaging. Y'all got to learn how to say no. Let me tell you something. Learn how to fast in every area of your life. Not just food, not just TV, not just shopping. Fast from engaging in sex. It's easy when you want to make it easy. What they said, the Lord is my help, my paracletus. Let him help you in that area too. Next slide. Behaviors that can lead to HIV infections. Okay, I said teens, but we talking about everybody. Having unprotected sex, unprotected intercourse with multiple partners. Listen, if you for the streets, you need to be at the HIV clinic every 3 months. Every 3 months. I ain't judging. I'm just saying, if you take your potato to get tested every 3 months. Having unprotected sex with intercourse with multiple partners. You find out your partner that you was being monogamous and your partner wasn't, and they like this. Take your happy tail down there and get HIV test. St. Paul A.M.E. Church, we gonna test you, okay? No judgment, honey. We do not care. We just want you safe. We just want you knowing your status and getting health and ensuring your health is good. Using alcohol or other drugs, this will cause personality changes, impaired judgment, having unprotected sex while having a sexual transmitted disease. Shame on you. Or proceeding to have sex with someone who has a known STD. Now, people can be careless and um just not caring. Okay. If you know someone is has a STD, it is best for them to get treatment, and you to get treatment and not to have engaged unprotected sex. And also share needed syringes and related equipment. As I said, need spoons and cotton and drug solutions. Okay. No, even one time of engaging in any high risk behavior, such as sexual intercourse with a HIV person, puts you at risk. Okay, especially if you're not on PrEP. And we're talking about PrEP. Next slide, please. What is PrEP? What is PrEP? PrEP is pre-exposure prophylaxis. It is a medication that can be taken once a day to prevent to Lord taken once a day to prevent contracting HIV from sex or injecting drugs. When taken as prescribed, PrEP is highly effective. It is preventing HIV by 99.7%. Okay? Do you hear me? So, I told you things have changed tremendously in the HIV world, in the HIV community. PrEP has come along for so many people. It has given people an opportunity to feel comfortable with dating people who are HIV positive, engaging in being intimate, marrying, um, uh, having children, because PrEP. PrEP is doing this. Like I said, PrEP is a pill that you can take once a day, and it is a prevention that will prevent you from contracting HIV. Even if you're dating, even if you're having unprotected sex with an HIV positive person, if you're taking this pill every day as prescribed, it is 99.7% effective of you not catching HIV. And most people that I know that are on PrEP, they have not caught HIV, and some of them have partners that are HIV positive. No, as of now, the United States has 2 prescription HIV medications being used as preventives. It is Truvada. Truvada is for all people at risk through sex or injection drugs. Truvada is for both male and female, biological born, assigned male and female. Truvada is the medication for both sexes. And Descovy. Now, Descovy is not for the ladies, not the ones that were born biologically female. This is not has not been tested enough on women, so it's Descovy is just for the men. Descovy is for people at risk through sex, except for people assigned female at birth who are at risk for getting HIV from vaginal sex. For both medications, I will break it down to you. Truvada is effective after 7 days for men, and it is effective 21 days. So, ladies, I don't know why. I don't know if it's our body chemistry. I don't know what it is, but it takes 21 days for it to be effective. So, you have to take that pill 21 consecutive days before engaging in unprotected sex with someone who has HIV, or for it to be a sure barrier of you not contracting HIV. For men, it's simply 1 week, I guess, because maybe they can't. I'm not even going to say that they can't hold on. But anyway, it's just 7 days for men, um for it to be a protective barrier for them, and stop them from contracting HIV. If they run into somebody, have unprotected sex, or expose intentionally or deliberately, they will not catch HIV. And that is it. I hope that you have enjoyed HIV 101. I don't know when we will do it again, but I will possibly will give this out again, maybe quarterly. Do HIV 101 so we can educate the public, our community, on how you contract HIV, the 4 stages of HIV, continue to educate about PrEP, continue to educate you on how to get tested, when to get tested, how often to get tested, and push back stigma, and informing people this is not how you can catch HIV. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed HIV 101. This is Lucretia Cannell, your sexual health testing counselor. If you would like to be tested, you can contact us via inbox, and we are on more than one social media platform. Stay tuned to get more information.